Everybody was kung fu fighting. Huh. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. Welcome back to StillerBros at the movies, ladies and gentlemen.
We're not actually going to be wearing those unless we need to.
Yeah, but in case you couldn't tell, we're seeing a Marvel movie today.
Today we are seeing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Now, as usual, what do we know about Shang-Chi? We know he's the master of Kung Fu.
We know, obviously, this is not a character that a lot of people outside of the deep comic book circles would know. He has an interesting history involving licensing to a particular, including Marvel licensing to a particular getting licensed to a particular movie, his father being a particular character from that movie, and because they can't get the licensing to that movie, his father, along with several other factors that we're not going to go into.
The guy's name is Fu Manchu.
Yeah, the guy's name is Fu Manchu.
Well, to figure it out.
His father is not going to be that character from the comics.
But so it was kind of interesting when Marvel announced that this was a movie they were making. Not because it was like Marvel not just because Marvel was Marvel had a shortage of Asian characters to go with, but mostly because it's like no one has really heard of Shang-Chi. But then again, not a lot of people had heard of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they've made and now that's one of their most beloved franchises.
But what we do know is that we have a cast of pretty substantial talent. We have leading the charge is a lesser known actor in America, more famous in his native Canada, Mr. Simu Liu, most notably known for his role in the Canadian sitcom Kim's Convenience, which like last time, this is like the second time that Marvel has taken a sitcom star from a sitcom that we have not watched a lot of to know that to bring into their heroics. I've watched like the first 3 episodes of Kim's Convenience. I haven't touched it in months. I know, I'm bad. And you know what? In order to prep for this episode, I probably should have watched more of Kim's Convenience. We watched Ronnie Chink's comedy special instead. Who is also in this movie. He's also in this movie, so that's fine. I think. I don't know. But anyway, yes, he got this role. And the fun anecdote is that he tweeted at Marvel asking them if they would give him the role of Shang-Chi.
So on a somewhat related note, hey Marvel, when are we going to talk about that Gwenpool script that the two of us have been writing?
Yep. Just saying.
Well, apparently this is now working now.
Anyway, we also have Awkwafina in this role as a character apparently a character who was not in the comics. Considering the fact that no one can seem to link her to any characters in the comics now. I'm sure they can now that the movie's out, but I don't know. What's been going on, because we haven't been looking at this movie's Wikipedia page in the last couple days because it's out. And then in his big Hollywood debut, we have he's not obviously no, because again this is his big Hollywood debut. He's not that famous here, but he's giant in China. Is Tony Leung as the real Mandarin.
Now, we're connecting to Iron Man 3, which is the best Iron Man movie. Fight me. Fight me. Speaking of which, this is the funniest adaptation of a Will Ferrell sketch from Saturday Night Live ever, isn't it? It's that Olive Garden sketch.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, the 10 Rings, the Mandarin, the real Mandarin. The 10 Rings, in case you didn't know from Marvel comic continuity, is typically Iron Man's arch nemesis, a terrorist group run by the Mandarin, who, for obvious reasons, was not actually used in any of the Iron Man movies because they couldn't find a way around working with the Mandarin that didn't seem like a bad caricature.
The Mandarin was always kind of portrayed as a racist caricature of Asian people. Not anybody's fault. It was just
the time. They've found ways around it in the time since. So.
It was just a grotesque. They were not not that anybody working on the comics was obviously racist or anything. It was just was actively racist or anything. It was just a grotesque Asian character.
Now obviously they found a way to make that work here, and they've made that work in the comics for a long time, here and on and off. Like one of the versions of the comics we most remember of the Mandarin is Mandarin includes him includes him with the 10 rings as sort of playing off of the idea that he is like a descendant of Genghis Khan, which guys, a lot of people are descendants of Genghis Khan, are direct descendants of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, just
that's kind of how genetics work.
Look up a lot of what Genghis Khan did. A lot of people were descended from Genghis Khan, but more importantly, it's finally there. We've seen the 10 rings in the background of Marvel Studios movies for the last 13 years.
Like, they were there from the beginning of Iron Man, and then they were used in Iron Man as a big plot point in Iron Man 3, making it look like the 10 Rings have been a fake terrorist organization. Ben Kingsley, as Trevor Slattery, played the fake version of the Mandarin, but now we have the real version of the Mandarin coming in to take the place of Shang-Chi's father, just like Ego, the Living Planet, took the place of Star-Lord's real canonical father in the comics in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes, we have, but it's interesting. They've obviously found a way to make it work, because we've known there was a real Mandarin since about 2014, when they put a short film in the bonus features for Thor: Dark World
called All Hail the King, which is on Disney Plus now, so great timing, Disney.
Where we get hints that there is a real Mandarin, and when it came to Trevor's performance, he was kind of pissed.
And so all this time we've been talking about it, we haven't actually mentioned the director. The director is Destin Daniel Creighton,
he's most known for some more indie fare, such as The Glass Castle, Short Term 12, and a movie that got a huge amount of buzz last year due to some very unfortunate circumstances in Just Mercy.
Now, the fun thing about those movies is that two of them are starring Brie Larson.
All three of them are starring Brie Larson.
All three of them star Brie Larson. This man has never made... Brie Larson is to him what Joseph Gordon-Levitt is to Ryan Johnson.
Except she wasn't in his first movie.
But we will find out as we go along if Brie Larson actually shows up in this one. Like we said, we've been keeping spoiler-free as much as possible from this, as we can with a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
The reason we're not doing this on Thursday night like we usually do is because we've had some scheduling issues.
We had some scheduling conflicts, but we're now seeing this as soon as possible. We're now going to see it, and we're going to go in, we're going to come out, and we're going to talk about it, because that's how this works.
That's how this works. And, yeah, it looks amazing. There's all these cool things going on. Michelle Yeoh is in it, because I guess Michelle Yeoh just kind of comes with the kit when you make these groundbreaking movies of this style. Like she was in this, she's in Crazy Rich Asians, all that cool stuff.
She gets to reunite with Awkwafina, probably. I don't think they share. I don't recall them sharing scenes in Crazy Rich Asians. I don't think they're going to share any scenes in this, but still. And based on what we've seen, certain stuff, we may be getting the MCU introduction of one of Stan Lee's first major creations,
which would be fantastic. Just one last tribute to Stan the Man Lee. On top of everything else, we've got a few people were at the premiere of this that make us think that they're going to show up in some capacity, but we still don't know that. Xochitl Gomez was there, but she mostly talked about Doctor Strange,
which is obvious because she's going to be in Multiverse of Madness. So,
but we'll talk about that when it comes to it in March.
Yes.
But for right now, this movie the big thing about this movie is that it's Marvel's first theatrical-only movie in 2 years.
Because they put out Black Widow with a Disney Plus premium access thing, and now they're just putting Shang-Chi out full on theater only, no Disney Plus buffer to try to make up for any of the problems that are falling apart.
And hopefully between this and Free Guy, we can actually keep theater distribution together. Also, please wear masks, get vaccinated, all that stuff. I really don't want Eternals to get because rumor has it that they're using this as a buffer to to check to see if they had to bump Eternals. I would really like it if you didn't have to bump every movie that's coming out in the next year for the rest of the year. Please.
Also, you know, people die and shit if you don't get vaccinated and wear masks and everything, but just, we're not gonna get into that. We're gonna go see a movie, so
bye. After the jump. And so now we are out, and while it's a bit redundant to say Marvel does it again, Marvel does it again.
And now it is time for the one thing that the internet was dying for.
2 more white guys' unsolicited opinions on Shang-Chi. Yay, we think we're helping.
Culture. We totally get the cultural significance of this.
But anyway, yeah, it's good. Why would we believe anything? Why believe anything else? It's another good Marvel movie. Marvel could pretty much do this in their sleep.
If at this point saying that there's a good Marvel movie out in theaters is like saying the air is not toxic, that the air is breathable and the sky is blue.
We're in a time where it's just that's just how it is. And so let's get into it. Simu Liu is fantastic in the role. He's just all of Shang-Chi. He just kind of owns it. He owns it, whether it be the funnier scenes like him and Awkwafina drunk singing karaoke tracks to A Whole New World and Old Town Road, or him trying to deal with the fact that he has to potentially kill his father.
Yes, there's a lot of dramatic weight that's held on to him, and he has to carry this movie for a lot of it.
Then of course there's Awkwafina, who I get it. I know why people are hot or cold on her. I understand. But she's good in this movie. She's funny when she needs to be, and she's got a character arc.
It is a very different character than we're kind of used to seeing her play.
Yeah,
like she is still her funny best friend character, but she has to carry a lot more dramatic weight to it, which I guess if we had seen The Farewell, we probably would have seen her do.
And yes, best friend. Katie is Shang-Chi's girlfriend, as in she's a girl who happens to be his friend. But then again, there's also these things like her grandma asking when they're going to get married. They're always kind of hanging on each other. But all I can think is, it's totally platonic.
But then we have Michelle Yeoh and Tony Leung. Tony Leung just freaking kills it as the Mandarin.
The thing I like about Wenwu as a character is that he is an actual somewhat compelling villain. He has clear motivations. You understand his motivations. He's not like Thanos, where it's like, I understand where you're coming from, but you're clearly very wrong. He's not like Killmonger, where it's like your ideas are good, your execution is terrible. This is, your heart's in the right place, but also you're really, really, really crazy.
Yes.
Though the downside is, of course, that Wenwu's henchmen suffer. There's a henchman that it feels like there's going to be a Taskmaster style reveal of, oh, it's this person, but no, we never get a resolution on that.
Yeah. And
then Razor Fist is just kind of there for it's just kind of there because it's cool to have a guy with a sword for henchman, and also the occasional comic relief that he just kind of hangs out in the background here and there.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh is awesome in this movie. She does great little fun bits. There is a scene stealing. I hesitate to call it a cameo because he's in a lot more of the movie, but he pretty much steals every scene he's in.
And we're not going to tell you because he is not in any of the advertising material. They have kept him so secret.
Even though he has been part of press junkets and he's
shown up. They've confirmed. They pretty much after the premiere they confirmed that he was in the cast list.
But if you don't know, don't try to find out. Just go see the movie and you'll see.
And then there's Morris, the adorable little creature that just dominates every scene he's in. He's tiny, he's furry, he's got 2 butts, no face, and
wings.
He is adorable, and I love him. More in Shang-Chi too, please.
Yes. as for kind of the negatives, it gets really exposition heavy at points. Essentially, it'll just be like, this room's kind of okay. We need to give you a whole lot of front loading of the backstory. So let's take you into a different room.
There's a lot of. It also relies a lot on flashbacks. Not to say that there wasn't interesting. The flashbacks weren't interesting. It feels. It's just at times the whole thing kind of feels a little like we're not getting into the meat of the main events of what's going on.
And then of course there's the fact that because this is an origin story, we're kind of jumping into it. And we don't. And as a Marvel movie, it doesn't really go. It's dropping us into the universe like we know how this universe. You probably know how this universe works. We're not going to dwell too much on it. We're just gonna kind of feed you little things that have happened in the MCU up until this point. But until the mid-credit scene, you really don't have to be connected to the MCU.
Which is a great way to jump in. Which is a great thing to just have for jumping in. It's a perfect standalone movie.
No, this is not a criticism, just my observation. It's kind of weird that weird things keep happening and people are still wondering why, or still comment on how weird it is.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Thor fell out of the sky. Why is it so weird that your friend is riding on a dragon?
Yeah. Why are it weird that you guys have seen 15 years of weird things in the MCU. Why are you still perplexed by things that happen, by things that should be completely normal for you?
The music's great by I can't remember his name right now. No, unfortunately. The direction is really good. It's Hood, Destin, Daniel Cretton is surprisingly good at action for a guy working with an action in teams for a guy who never directed an action movie up until this point.
Yeah, and with that being said, we have to give a special shout out to second unit director and stunt coordinator, the late great Brad Allen. This is one of his last films. He sadly passed away a few weeks ago, and he was one of the first stunt coordinators to work with Jackie Chan, who was pretty much part of Jackie's stunt team and became one of the heads of Jackie's stunt team. He was one of the first person to get up there on par with him. So
that's why the kung fu sequences look so amazing in this movie. Just because it's like we got a Jackie Chan stunt coordinator running the whole thing. If anyone would know how to work action in scenes with the occasional bits of comedy, it would be him.
Yeah.
And yeah, Shang-Chi is just another out of the park hit from Marvel. It works in every conceivable way. Hey, it's funny when it needs to be. There's a lot of surprise. The action sequences are great. In fact, the action sequences are the choreography on the martial arts scenes is so mesmerizing that I almost forget to be amazed by it.
Yeah, and especially by the fact that Simu Liu, because Shang-Chi doesn't wear a mask, had to do a lot of it himself.
Yeah, there's no point where they created a reason to give him a mask like Captain Marvel or Star-Lord or anything like that, so that they could more easily swap him out with a stunt double. If you odds are for a good chunk of the movie that's Simu Liu actually doing the fight scenes, which says a lot about him. But then again, he had gymnastics background before he actually got jumped into this.
Yeah, but this is an insane, awesome movie. We get a bigger look at the MCU, which another thing I thought about watching this movie is, how the fuck do these things keep happening in the MCU? And everything just kind of developed normally into something similar to our universe.
Yeah, there's like 1,000 years ago something happened here, and it still came out exactly like our universe up until 2008.
Up until 2008, when Tony Stark became Iron Man, and then he took out and then he ended the Middle East conflict, and we could just focus on, and a lot of other international conflicts, and we could just...
it was just a bunch of giant supervillains.
Yeah.
But
Shang-Chi is another good Marvel movie. It's probably their best origin movie in a long time, at least since the first Doctor Strange. Maybe even maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. It depends on your opinion on a lot of the origin projects that they've been doing.
It is.
It makes you look forward to what they do with these characters next.
I'm excited. Ever since the ending really made me excited for where they could go with these characters.
And yeah, moving forward, Shang-Chi will probably be a huge asset to the Avengers and everything like that.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen next, because even Simu Liu at this point doesn't know where Shang-Chi is going to pop up next.
Hopefully it will take he'll have a lot shorter of downtime than Benedict Cumberbatch has been getting to before they were like, oh yeah, we haven't given you a sequel yet. Let's get that taken care of. Especially since I want to know what's stronger, dragon scales or vibranium.
And we need to find that out soon.
Let's figure that out. Anyway, guys, I think that's it for right now. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, tweet with the hashtag StillerBrosGwenpool, and don't forget to tune in next time when you will be found. Bye.